Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in again to OTRAMM's YouTube channel where we do Land Cruiser repair videos. Today we're changing the brake booster in a 97 FZJ80. This one's got rock hard pedal. We put a vacuum pump on the booster and it won't hold vacuum. So we're pretty sure that the booster diaphragm is blown. So we're gonna go ahead and replace that today. If you enjoy our videos, please don't forget to subscribe below. If you really enjoy our videos, please click our Patreon link and help support making new videos. But yeah, enough of that for now. Let's get started on changing this brake booster. Let me zoom you in a little bit. So first thing I'm gonna do is get the actual booster hose out of my way. And it's just got a couple of spring clamps on it. So we'll just take a pair of duckbill pliers and pull the clamps back and wiggle that off the fitting, and then we'll just kind of curl that back and stick it up there. And we can reach down here and unplug the wiring for the brake level switch. And that one, yeah, there we go. Some of these flex out of the way pretty easy, some of them don't. But there we can get that wire loom out of our way and just flip the wire up. And there's four 12mm nuts holding the master cylinder onto the booster. Go ahead and take these off. And this top one has the retainer for the brake level wiring, and then it's also got this little retainer that keeps the booster check valve in. So you want to keep track of where you put those. And the lower two nuts hold the, there's like a junction block down there for a couple of the brake lines. So the bracket to them is also held on by those lower nuts. And sorry, I'm kind of blocking the camera view with my arms. It's, I couldn't find a good angle to get the camera in here. There we go, there's all four nuts removed. Then we can kind of wiggle this bracket off of the bottom. And you just kind of have to gently flex your brake lines back to get some clearance. Come on. And there's another bracket that looks like it's the accelerator pedal clip that's stuck down below there. Get one of my long panel poppers so we can reach in there and wiggle that loose. There we go. It was just stuck crooked on the stud. Now we can kind of just unclip that, and we're just going to kind of gently wiggle and move everything out of the way. Just kind of tilt it forward, and we'll push. It's probably okay sitting there. We may have to mess with that other bracket out of the way. But there's everything removed off the front of the booster, and I'll take you under the dash, and we'll pull it loose from the inside. So just one moment, I'll bring you back. Okay, so now we're underneath the dash, and I couldn't get a good camera angle on it, but straight up on the brake pedal, there's one spring, and then there's a cotter pin that needs to get pulled, and that'll release the little rod that actually holds the pedal to this side of the booster. And then there's 4 12mm nuts again on this side. And sorry for repeatedly bumping the camera. It's really tight trying to film under here. And swivel sockets definitely make it easier to grab these inside fasteners. And there's 4 of these, just like on the outside. The one that's back here behind the steering column is the trickiest to get. It's also the most fun to get started again once you put the new booster in. But there we go. Okay, so now we've got everything free from under the dash and everything free out here. And now it's just the fun part of getting everything to detach. And I actually think that I'm going to try a little bit harder to get this bracket out of my way. There we go. This bracket goes on the bottom to hold the throttle cable. We're going to get that out of the way just to have one less thing to fight with. Go. And it's just kind of a wiggling, juggling to get this guy out of here. There we go. So there's our old one out. And me flip you around to the table here in just a second, and we'll move some parts around. Okay, so now we've got the two boosters sitting here on the bench, and there's a 14mm jam nut here on the shaft under the clevis. So we're gonna pop this loose with a screwdriver, spin the clevis off, and then swap everything over to the new booster. And I should have mentioned this before I pulled that off and showed you, but eyeball up the distance the stud's sticking through, so you can kind of match these up when you put them back together. If not, it's no big deal. You can go back and adjust the pedal height from under the dash, but it's easier to do it out here. So let me switch you back again, and we'll put this all back in. Okay, so now we can start fishing this back in, and we've got our new firewall gasket on there. And you just want to make sure that when you put it in, you put it in with the check valve facing the same way that you took it out. We can take that off. There we go. So it's a snug fit, but it will go back in there. I'm gonna go underneath. When you put this in, before you bolt everything up out here, make sure that the that new clevis is actually sitting over top of the brake pedal. Otherwise, you're gonna pull everything back out again to recenter it. So I'm gonna jump under the dash real quick and put those 4 nuts back on here and hook up everything, hook the clevis pin and the return spring on, and then I'll come back and finish up out here. It was tricky enough trying to get the camera under there the first time that I'm not gonna try to repeat that. So yeah, it's just 4 nuts and the clevis pin and the return spring, and then I'll meet you back out here. Okay, so we've got everything bolted up underneath. The booster's now in here solid. So now we can start wiggling everything back into its place. And you just kind of want to be gentle, putting all the lines back. You know, the same as we were when we bent them going the other way. Get that on there. And then we've got to fish. Don't forget to fish your, oh, I'm going brain dead this afternoon. The bracket for the throttle cable. That down in there, and we'll bend the lines back over top of it. And I'm actually going to put a nut up here on this top stud just to help me hold everything back. Okay, I'm going to drop a nut into the abyss. Let me get another one. We'll try that again. go. That one on there. We're going to put the check valve hold down bracket in here, and you've just got to spin the check valve until the little pin on it lines up. Go. And then we'll put the wiring retainer clip on. Wire up out of the way. There we go. We can start tightening these up. I'm stuck on that throttle cable bracket again. There we go. And it just takes some tweaking to get everything to go back into its place after being all moved out of position. And you want to get all 4 nuts started before you tighten any of them completely. That way you've got some wiggle room. And you just need to go underneath and find the one I dropped real quick. Okay, found my last nut, so we can go ahead get that one started on there. And now that that one's started, we can actually start tightening everything up. I'll start with this one with the clip on it. And we'll just hold the clip so it's facing the same direction as it was when we took it off. And if you forgot which direction it was facing, you can see the mark that it left on the bracket underneath. And you can use that to judge the angle it needs to sit at. There we go, everything's snug. We can take our wire and bring it back around. Put it back in its retainer, and crimp that shut. Clip that back on the firewall there. And then I pulled this little clip that separates these two brake lines off when I was wiggling. And we can just take our booster hose and feed it back on and put our clamp back on. So there's everything back together. Ooh, zoom me out. Okay, so there's everything back together, doing a brake booster without actually pulling the master cylinder loose of the hydraulic lines. Hope you found that useful, and it saves you a little time in changing a booster. You may have to go back and set the pedal height if it feels different than it did before you took the booster out, and it's just that lock nut on the booster shaft. You can spin that to change the pedal height up and down. So yeah, I hope that helped you out. Please remember to subscribe below, and if you'd like to help support future videos, click our Patreon link and help us out. I appreciate it. See you next time. Thanks.